What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. On this episode, I have MMA fighter Matt Betzold. Matt is a fighter out of Team Alpha Male. He's been training for a long time, competing in Jiu-Jitsu and grappling, as well as MMA. And one thing about Matt that it makes him unique is he actually is an amputee, and so he is missing a part of his leg, the knee. So it was really, from a physical therapy standpoint, I was so interested in kind of how Matt has adapted his body and his style towards fighting, grappling, and how he has evolved and changed his game. Thank you to Matt for being on the podcast. It was just such an interesting conversation, and thank you guys for tuning into the podcast. I appreciate you guys listening, and enjoy it.
You are now listening to the Jiu-Jitsu Therapist Podcast.
Do you train Team Alpha Male?
Yes, I've been training there for about 4 years now.
Do you know Kenny Degenhart?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kenny's a guy I know. I'm over here from Louisville, Kentucky. We train. He's from Nashville originally, so I actually had him on the podcast a little while back.
Yeah, I train with him a lot in my jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
In and out of the gym. He trains at a few different places. Mainly Team Alpha Male, though.
Yeah. Do you have a fight coming up?
Here's the thing. I was supposed to fight Taylor McCorson. He had unfortunate events in his personal life, and so he had to pull out respectfully. You know, he had a legit reason for once. I heard a legit reason to pull out of a fight, and I just was scrambling. The management team and the matchmakers of the show were scrambling to find an opponent. They found an opponent. This guy we agreed to a catchweight at 140. It was supposed to happen this Saturday, but unfortunately, he pulled out like less than 24 hours. I haven't even really announced it to the public yet. But no, I'm not fighting anymore. I was fighting as of yesterday. I was supposed to fight this Saturday.
Okay. Is that something you deal with a lot? I did a little, just kind of read some articles, kind of stuff that you've kind of gone through, and just basically, so you have a hard time kind of getting fights?
Yes, I do. I have a hard time locking in opponents. And even when I do lock in, it's like I don't really know the fight's for sure happening in my case, as far as until we get to the weigh-ins and I actually see the guy's eyes and know if he's for real or not. He shows up at the weigh-ins. More than likely they show up for the fights. But until the weigh-ins, really, I don't know if I'm ever going to fight. I've had guys pull out like 36 hours before the fight, like after everything's done, Thankfully, I didn't really cut weight for this one because we agreed to the catch weight. I had just started doing my weight cut when I found out my original opponent wasn't fighting me, and then I found this other opponent. Well, I didn't find him. The matchmakers and my management team helped find him, and then he pulled out. But we agreed to a catch weight, so I didn't really have to cut weight, so that was cool. I'm just gonna roll it over like I'm used to this, so it's no biggie.
All right,
it's gonna happen.
So here's two questions for you. First of all, why do you think it's hard for people, for you to get a fight? And I get an idea. I kind of think I have an idea on why. And the other thing is, what's the point of signing a fight if you're just going to pull out? Like, what the hell's the point of that?
I don't know. I think the main reason is this whole, you have as much chance in an ass-whooping contest as a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest.
Right.
That was, as Ben is saying, before me, so I think that's a big part of it. I think people think that, they see me missing something, they, consider me less of an opponent.
Okay.
If they lose to me, they lose, and, I don't really think about losing, so it kind of weaves out the guys, it gives them an excuse of, it's a good excuse, whatever, but at the end of the day, it's still an excuse to not fight the man that was put in front of you. It takes away from our paychecks because I've had guys refuse to fight. Like me being the only fight on the card, and my fight falls through, their fight falls through. For instance, this event right here, we had my flyweight fight, another flyweight fight fall through, and then a bantamweight fight fall through. I offered to fight both those guys, the flyweight and the bantamweight.
Yeah.
I offered, and neither. So they would, and the other two, those guys are brothers, so they can't fight each other. So I offered to fight either one of the brothers. So they would rather sit in the audience and watch the show than to collect a paycheck and put on a good fight for the fans. I mean, it's beyond me as a martial artist.
Yeah.
I don't get where they're coming from. Well, I have one leg. Well, I have twice as hard. I have twice as much skill, twice as much up here. And like, you're scared because what? You don't understand. They fear what they don't understand is the reality of it. And I don't get how they look at themselves in the mirror. Because they'd rather fight a bum than a stud with one leg. You know what I mean?
Matt, for people that don't know kind of your background, can you just tell us a little bit about kind of growing up and elaborate kind of what happened, if you're okay doing that? And as far as if people are listening to the podcast, don't know who you are an amputee, so you can kind of let us know kind of why give us a little background on why that situation kind of goes down a lot.
I lost my leg when I was 6 years old. Long story short, a family, a guy was staying with my family and gave me candy. I lost my leg, got blood clot, gangrene set in. They had to take my leg, when I was 5 years old. I woke up, 6 weeks later, 6 years old at the time because I was in a coma through my birthday with my leg missing. Had to fight for everything in my life, as far as food goes and just acceptance and I don't really care about what people think of me, but you know how it is, just growing up, being different. I always fought and, I always, got kicked out of schools and out of schools, my brothers all taught me, not to take shit from anybody. My dad was pretty, tough on us. We had a rough upbringing. I come from a background of 8 kids in one household, and we're all, same mentality, and just that's where I'm from. And I don't really look at myself different. I never really was treated different growing up, as far as my family goes.
Right.
It always if they ever caught me trying to use it as an excuse or play pity party, it wasn't really accepted in my household.
Yeah.
So I come out in the real world, and really that's not what everybody else views it. So it's kind of awkward to me, for one. I am a fighter heart. At the end of the day, I'm probably twice as much of a fighter as most of these guys who claim to be fighters are really just poser boys, in my opinion. And they do it for the wrong reasons, and I'm here doing it for the right reasons, but yet I can't get too many shows to open the door for me.
Right.
I can't. And then, for one, it took me 10 years just to get acceptance for the commissions to let me fight, and because of my unorthodox fighting style, and just they're not knowing, and so I had to create awareness to the commissions, get approved. It took me 9 years to do that through grappling tournaments.
Right.
So after 200 grappling matches, and I finally, I was submitting guys that were fighting pro. And so, I had to basically get an attorney to force him to fight me amateur. They finally let me go amateur, and then there was another battle trying to go pro, and I'm thinking these amateurs stopped wanting to fight me after a little bit, but the pros, they'll fight me. I'll get more fights as a pro. Because there's money involved, and it was actually the exact opposite, because once I go pro, now these guys don't want to fight me. So now I gotta take pay cuts to pay these guys more just to fight me, and then they still don't want to fight me. They're getting offered bigger checks than most of these guys at their level to fight me, but yet they're still turning it down. So at the end of the day, they don't want to feed their families and they don't want to eat. They'd rather sit in the audience. It's just kind of irritating.
So
me.
Matt, just to kind of so you said a piece of candy, so there's something, obviously you said something wrong with that candy that you ate that caused the blood clot, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
a toxin in my body that caused.
Got it. Okay, just so people don't know, man. So, like, you had a toxin you ate, and it gave you a blood clot, which caused you to lose your leg. So, growing up, man. So, how did you? We can kind of get into the fight stuff because I really, in my opinion, man, I can see what these people like. They basically don't feel like there's a lot of advantage. Maybe like if they defeat you, they're like, oh, well, this guy, had one leg or whatever, But then if they lose, I guess, do you feel like that's maybe kind of part of the give and take? I mean, but still, honestly, you've done a ton of matches. You obviously know how to hold your own. Do you think there's anything that you need to do on your end to prove or?
I think if I was a bum fighter who had no skills, I would be getting fights all the time.
Yeah.
For them to say I'm a lose-lose situation is just a cop-out, because the same guys that call me a lose-lose situation are fighting guys that are like 2-9, 2-4, 0-5. Like that's a lose-lose situation fight. You lose to that guy, your career is probably over. You can also argue the fact that I fought 3 UFC fighters on my resume.
Right.
And only one of them has finished me. And the one that finished me was Anthony Burchek at 135 before they even had the flyweight division.
Yeah.
Okay? And that was in 2010. So I have not been finished since 2011 because I was finished in 2011 by Freddie Luck. But have not, and all the rest of my fights, there has not been one person. There's only one person alive in my professional career that can say they finished me, and that guy's at the weight class above. So guess there's no flyweight that on this planet that can say they finished Matt Betzold.
I mean,
I can give you hundreds of flyweights that can say they ducked Matt Betzold.
Right.
And call them out by names,
Do you think, man? Do you think? Besides you not having a leg, but do you think maybe it's a tough fight? Like it's an awkward fight because it's hard for them to train? Do you think that has something to do with it?
Sure, it's a tough fight, and that's the real reason. They don't want to.
No, that's legit.
They want to be glorified bullies in there. They want to beat up some bum, build a record, make it to the big show. That's what they want. They don't want to fight an animal like me. I mean, that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
My leg has nothing to do with it. If I had 2 legs, they still wouldn't want to fight me. So,
like, what do you feel like? I mean, how did you develop your fighting style? Like, how did you? Let's get back. How did you kind of get into jiu-jitsu, grappling, and then into MMA? How did that all start for you?
Okay. Well, for one, growing up in a family with so many boys, we had 5 boys in the house, not including myself, so 6 boys in one household. We grew up watching martial arts movies, like Chuck Norris was the main guy, John Claude Van Damme, Bruce Lee, Steven Seagal, watched Mike Tyson. That's how we got involved. My uncles were all wrestlers, so we were always looking up to guys like Jan Gable, Zeke Jones, Bobby Douglas. And, the list goes on of all these people that influenced our family. And so, yeah, we were always, involved in combat sports some way. And so, but when I was 17, my brother brought me to a Rage in a Cage show. It was just like some Arizona show. And I watched it, and then they said if you wanted to train, come these. They gave a list of schools. So, and this was, I was already a fan of the UFC. I'd already watched that, and it wasn't really around until I realized that there were local schools where you could train this stuff. Because before the time, everything was in California or Brazil.
Right.
Like in the early days. And so it made its way to Arizona. I checked out a jiu-jitsu school and a cage fight. Took some cage fighting classes. I was submitting blue belts, and like that was a big deal for me. First week, me and my brothers were already tapping out blue belts. I'm like, these guys got blue belts, and we're tapping out. So the guy let us train for free. We couldn't afford to, And then my brother started getting in the fights, and they wouldn't let me fight, so I had to watch my brothers fight, and, I've been trying to just get approval, and that's kind of where it started, as far as me And I started doing jiu-jitsu tournaments because they wouldn't let me fight. So I was like, just banging out jiu-jitsu tournaments every month if I could, afford to get out to California, because California at the time was where most of the jiu-jitsu tournaments were. Every once in a while they do one in Arizona, and that's pretty much where it started for me.
So what about, like, did you do anything up until you were 17? Did you do any kind of sports or anything like that?
To tell you the truth, I played baseball and like in elementary school, and then I kind of started getting into trouble more so and took like a more negative path to my life, and just like it was a kid growing up, and got in trouble.
What was it like, kind of like going to jiu-jitsu the first time? I mean, I remember when I first went, man, I was nervous as shit, super nervous. What was it like for you, man, being, as young as you were, having one leg, like, did you know what the hell you were going to do? Did you know, like, what type of jiu-jitsu even, kind of like, how did you develop your game?
I was just tagging along with my brothers, and, I didn't realize I would be automatic. I picked it up right away. We grew up wrestling. I kind of knew how to wrestle without even, I never wrestled, but like, I trained with my brother's wrestling team sometimes, like during the summer camps, like the freestyle camps.
Sure.
I was be bored. So I knew kind of how to wrestle, and I watched the UFC. Like my brother had all the UFC collections before we even fought, and so like I would borrow a couple of them at a time, and I would have to like give them back. He my brother. I mean, this is older, so he was always responsible with things. So
yeah.
I had to borrow 2, bring 2 back, borrow another 2. But I was always borrowing some kind of UFC that he had from his collection, and I would study the film. And so, like, when I went in, and then my brother also, before we could afford the gym, we would also look through magazines and stuff.
Yeah.
We were interested in it. The interest was there. We just never had the actual facility gym team. No, that wasn't out in Arizona, like when we first found out about the UFC.
Right.
So before I was 17, I was definitely interested. We were still like looking into things. It was.
So what was it like? How did you decide what kind of game you play, or what kind of came natural to you? What kind of submissions did you play, or would you play more of a top game?
I was always trying to be on top right away, And then Hoyce Gracie inspired me to work off my back a lot. Seeing him tap out guys in the UFC that were twice his size. So, I'm a small guy. That's probably what I need to do. And it just was more like a trial and error thing, just like any martial arts or anything new. It's like, try this, try that. It works for him, doesn't really work for me. This works for me, though. And like, just constantly tweaking things. Like, I do it every day just, like, naturally. But I had to try hard to do it when I first started, that's for sure, as far as adapting my style with everybody else's teaching. Because everybody else teaching orthodox style. I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. I can't do it that way. It's not really working for me. For instance, we'll take the triangle for example. My first coaches in jiu-jitsu told me that I would never be able to do a triangle. And I believed them, right? So I would always lock up the triangle and then switch to an arm bar from the side that I do the triangle on. But then I started being able to submit white belts with the triangle, and I'm like, cool, okay, well maybe these I'm just submitting these guys because they're white belts, all right, whatever. I wrote it off for that, but I still won't get a good guy with the triangle. So I still was trying this move and developing it, and now I tapped out a black belt the other week with the triangle, so I'm like that's kind of how it works, So
how do you so you're above the knee, you're amputee above the knee, correct?
I actually have my knee cap. It's a knee disarticulate is what they call it medically. But I have my knee cap, which enables me to bounce around on my knee like you see when I'm fighting. Like I use it as my knees are my feet basically. Like the way, so I can take more impact on my knees without suffering from things like bone spurs that a lot of amputees do suffer from when they get their leg cut off in the mid bone area.
Yeah.
So luckily I'm blessed with the amputation I have, which allows me to do what I do.
Right. So you're able to, when you do grapple, how do you usually start? What's the position you start in? Is there
here in the gym?
Just at the gym, if you're just training or working takedowns or whatever, how do you usually start out?
On my knees, but like we'll start like in having people with our back with those rear naked chokes sunk in deep, ready to go fight the choke, and like so in training it's different, but in competition I start out just from my knees, like in a neutral wrestler position. They're usually standing up on their feet and try to outrun me, or like maneuver laterally. And trying to like wait for me and get behind me or whatever they're trying to do and what their game is, and then I'm just trying to keep them in front of me.
Which side is your amputated leg on?
It's on my left side.
The left. So
my left.
So do you start like one leg in front of the other when you're?
I'll switch it up like just like a boxer, man. Like I got my orthodox stance, I got my southpaw stance, I got my orthodox stance that I do for my knees. And that enables me to switch up, and it also doesn't let them get comfortable on one particular leg. Just same tactic with a boxer, like a good stand-up fighter would use. You know what I mean? Or like a good wrestler. A good wrestler can switch it up. A good boxer can switch it up. You know what I mean? And disguise what his power hand is or whatever. Or just like tactics, I guess.
So is that how you do when you do an MMA fight? Do you switch back and forth usually when you're kind of engaging on with the hands?
Yeah, if they're running, if they're backing up certain days, I'll switch. And yeah, for sure, I got my own little reasons for doing what I do, and it's a developed style. It's very similar to okay, so when I get in there and I fight MMA, I have to move like Mike Tyson, basically, and I have to have, like, Dan Gable takedowns in there. And be, like, just vicious with everything. And I have to be stronger than my opponents. Like, because when I close distance, I might not have a chance to close the distance again because they figure out they got to run from me. So what these guys do is they just run. And so it's like a cat and mouse game, they're running from me, backing up most of the time. Very few times do my opponents ever really come forward because they might come forward like in the first round or something, but then they learn that I'm wrestling solid and that my strength's there and that I'm not like, in a pushover fight. So then they realize, all right, well now I gotta start running. And so every fight I'm getting smarter. And it's almost, I love it because like it makes me feel predatorial. Like you know what I mean? Like I got them. They think they got me figured out because they watched my last fight, but I got something else. So it's been forever evolving thing for me. Even though my style's pretty much the same every fight, I have these guys. They're trying to figure me out without, because like the best way to figure me out is to train with me. It's part of the language. But
there you go. You can say whatever.
Then I get to figure out stuff with them as well, and like it's a give and take.
Yeah.
And so it's really the safest bet for them to study me and try to figure me out is to watch film on me, and everybody knows that. So.
How do you incorporate your stand-up? Is your stand-up just a way to kind of get an entry into like a takedown? I mean, is your style mainly to be on the ground on top, or is there do you look to exchange hands and start that way?
Oh yeah, I'm looking to stay in that pocket. I'm just coming forward. I mean, there's not really any science to it, but just come forward. Bite down on my mouthpiece, throw heavy leather when they're in the striking range, in the danger zone. Know the range, know when they can hit me, know when they can't hit me, and just just pressure, bro. Like, I don't know, exactly how to describe it other than just animal instinct that we all have, and just I train it more.
What about if you're thinking cage size or even a ring, is there something you feel like works better to your advantage? A smaller cage probably would work better.
I don't really want to it's geometry, okay? I take the center of the cage, I push them back, they gotta go back or they gotta go forward. I mean, that's really their only option. I give them two options, back up, keep running, or come forward and fight me. And either way, that cage is right behind you, bro. And I'm gonna get you on that cage, I'm gonna take you down, I'm gonna just suck the life out of you. I'm gonna beat you mentally, physically in there, and every man's got a breaking point. I believe that, I've seen it, and some people are harder to break than others, and I mean, that's just really my style. It's just like I can take punishment, I can give it, and like I think I have the whole package.
When you train, like what do you like to do? Like how do you like to train? What's a training regimen? What do you like to do for cardio? How do you adapt some of those things?
Okay, good question. I like to just train everything that I use, and I like to put my leg on and train that way because I can become my opponent by putting my leg on and just working, you know. So I have two different ways of training as far as, you know, like my sparring and live goes go. And then I also do like a lot of core and strength and conditioning. Just picked that up this year. I got a coach that's been working with me, making plans maybe to jump up to 35 here pretty soon if my weight keeps going the way it's going. Just gonna do for cardio. I don't really run, because I believe it's bad for your ankles and your knees and your hips, and I rather fight more than run more. I know a lot of my opponents should take notes on that one. Alright, and so I swim.
Awesome, yeah.
It's low impact. It simulates ground and pound. When I'm doing my swimming strokes, it's like it expands my lungs. It gets the heart and the lungs working like nothing else does. It's almost like a form of meditation in there because like I'm alone and you know it's all just and then you get the rhythm of breathing, which helps that in the fight definitely. The ground and pound like when you drop it helps.
Yeah.
Like swimming is the same motion. I'm dropping elbows and throwing punches. So it's cool, man. That's what I do.
That's awesome, dude. That's a great point. I was just kind of thinking more cardiovascular type of cardio equipment, and you know the pool sounds like, you know, for you especially, it kind of hits everything and still, you know, gets you at awesome work, and that's great, man. What about like a strength and conditioning? Are you doing like actually like you put your leg on and do like deadlifts, squats? What kind of things are you doing?
I'm not doing deadlifts. No, I do like a lot of medicine ball stuff, just mainly core. I do squats, but I usually just hold on to a pole and do like just squats that way. I'm not really trying to get, you know, any size. I just want to, you know, I mainly do my squats just to pump my my testosterone and get the biggest muscle in your body is, you know, your thigh. So I try to get my thigh working when I'm doing my strength, and then you know, at least 3 times a day I try to do some squats. But it's just like on my body. I used to do weights, but like I really just lift a lot of core, man. It's a lot of core for me. I'm already strong. I do a lot of pull-ups, dips, and you know bench pressing, but I don't really do bench pressing like orthodox, you know, like weightlifters do. I do them with free like dumbbell with like a really heavy dumbbell. I get more extension because there's no bar.
Right.
I get more extension this way. And I get more so it's better for me. Just, I do things a little different. Just everything I do is, related to combat efficient workouts and not like trying to put my size on and not really doing anything for looks, just for performance.
Just performance.
Like I'm naturally strong upper body as far as flyweight goes for sure. Definitely, and most bantamweights, you know, can't hang with it either. So I just need to, you know, do a little extra to, you know, build my natural strength up top.
Yeah, I think it might be honestly a way to think about it is, you know, like because you don't have a leg, you don't have that extra mass. Like, so you could actually, you know, if you had that leg, you probably would obviously weigh more. So when you're fighting guys, you might actually be bigger. You're actually bigger than they are. You know what I mean? Like as far as your body's bigger, you might be stronger than they are.
Oh, sure. Definitely got bigger heart than all the guys I'm fighting.
Yeah, for sure.
Guys I'm not fighting. It is. I think I'd be like a 145er, or I'd for sure be at least a 135er if I had 2 legs. For sure. So I'm like a guy above the weight, and that's another excuse they use. But like. It's mixed martial arts. It's one style, another style.
Are you fight 125 naturally?
Yes, and I'm considering going up 135 because I'm putting a little size on this year. and it's not fat. So I was thinking about it. I know I'm gonna do 135 before the end of my career. I owe it to myself to see how my performance would differ, opposing for me to cut less weight, opposed that I do what now, which is cutting all the way from like 145 to 125. So I was thinking about that really hard.
Is it how old are you, by the way?
How old am I? I'm 33.
33, yeah. So I'm 34. Yeah. So, like, do you feel like the weight cuts are getting a little harder? You know, so you're getting a little older, you feel like you're getting a little harder to cut that weight?
I don't think it's my age that's making it harder. I think I just started this new strength and conditioning program, and I've been eating a lot more protein. I cut out a lot of the meats out of my diet and upped it with plant-based proteins. Uh-huh. So I'm eating a lot more proteins, and I'm lifting with my core program that we got going. Uh-huh. And as far as like I'll hit, and that's me during camp. I was having trouble taking my weight off during camp, and with my refined strict diet. And like when I'm not in camp, I do more strength and conditioning, and you know what I mean, and less of a strict diet. So I'll put on more size. Yeah, the way the scale's going right now, probably going up to 135 before the end of 2018.
Do you think possibly being a little bigger weight class, you more opportunities for fights, more people kind of?
I think I kind of dried out the flyweight division. It's getting scarce. A lot of these guys are not wanting to fight me, so I think it would open up a whole new list of fighters to fight. That's for sure. You know, it's a brand new list of names that these matchmakers can hit the concrete with, and you know, try to get me more fights that way.
To me, like, it'd be interesting. Like, I would want to. I don't know. I'd want to see it. Like, my background is a physical therapist, you know, so that's why I kind of asking about like the, you know, the amputee questions and stuff. I'm just interested in how you've adapted that, you know, to martial arts. But like, I don't know. Like, I feel like it's just. It's unique in your fighting style and stuff and how you do things. It just interests me kind of how you've adapted, you know, because I think it's all about kind of adaptation of, you know, you can't do everything normally. You know, you got to make it your own. I mean, whatever the hell normal is, quote unquote, you know. I mean, your normal is different than somebody else's. I mean, that's just the way it is. You have to kind of modify and
Exactly. No, I agree with you. And that's what martial arts is about, you know. Everybody wants to do the move that this guy did last UFC, where it's like, well, that might not be your style, you know what I mean? Or the move that your coach teaches you might not be your style. And you got to kind of like trial and error things a lot.
I mean, I would honestly want to see, like, I would be more interested to see just 2 bantamweights or 2 flyweights go at it. I'd rather see a guy that's got one leg. You know, just for the, like, you know what I'm saying? Not for, like, it's just, it's different. It's not something you see. It's like, why do you think, I mean, this might be a bad comparison, but, you know, you're a big mixed martial arts guy. You know, like, Pride Fighting, man, they would put, like, these huge-ass heavyweights against, or they do the open weight Grand Prix. They did that because it's, like, it's stuff that you don't
like
see very often.
Novelty type thing.
Do what?
Like novelty fight?
I don't know if it's novelty, but it's like different. You know what I mean? It's like, it's interesting to see. To me, it'd be interesting to see kind of like the style that you would bring. You know what I mean? Like how you would adapt, like your problem solving, you know, into, you know, MMA. Because we see it's traditional MMA. But you see, you know, some people do different things. They switch up positions. They do different styles, you know, like, you know, Anderson Silva did some crazy shit. You know, he would throw all kinds of kicks, stuff like that. You know, it's different, and you're like, whoa, what the hell is that? And then just seeing something different. To me, I think it's unique. I think it's interesting because it's all part of, like, problem solving. You know, it's like how you have a chessboard, and you're trying to figure out, man, your moves.
No, it's exactly a chess game, that's for sure. Physical chess, I mean.
Yeah, you're trying to figure out, man, like, okay, you both have a similar skill set. You know how to punch. You know how to wrestle. You know how to do jiu-jitsu. But yours is, like, adapted differently. You know what I mean? It's like, how are you going to use your skills to, like, you know, it's not like you don't know anything different than a lot of people don't. You know what I'm saying? You're doing, you know, a rear naked choke just like anybody else, but your leg position may be different, you know, or your control may be different.
Yeah, no, I just don't even think about it. I'm sure I have lots of differences, and I understand it a little bit though, because I'm able to throw my leg on and kind of like, become my opponent. Like every camp, I'll throw my leg on and I'll be like, all right, what would I do if I was my opponent fighting?
Gotcha.
And I go in there already knowing what he's going to try to do, but he doesn't get to do that for me. So, in ways like you think it's a disadvantage, but like I've made it an advantage, and it took a lot of like trial and error, just basically trial and error in mat time, bro, competition time, and like, and just a love for it, just the unwillingness to quit,
What's your, like, I mean, what are your ultimate goals? Like, I mean, so you've been fighting for how long?
I actually was approved to fight, from the commissions in 2009.
Okay.
So that, like, almost 9 years.
Okay. So,
like 9 years the way that I've been fighting.
How many fights have you had? I mean, as far as I know, you had like an amateur career, a few fights amateur, and then a pro career.
Yeah, I went 4-1 as an amateur, and I'm right now as a pro. I'm 9-9.
Okay,
which is pretty good. I mean, my flyweight, that's overall. I have I think 8-5 at flyweight.
Okay. Did you fight another weight class before that? Did you fight bigger or smaller? Or?
I fought at 135 or 145, 135, and 125. Mainly, once I went pro, all my fights were at 35s, but I did a few amateur fights.
Uh-huh.
I did one pro fight at 145.
So, like, what do you feel like as far as what have you learned from some of your losses? I mean, what kind of things have you said you've never been finished, so most of them have been decisions or, I guess, a few submissions as well. Like, what's kind of, is there anything that gives you difficulty in the cage you can think of, or something that you feel like is, harder for you to kind of overcome?
Most of them were like, most of the decisions I feel like I won. Not gonna lie or sugarcoat it. I didn't finish the fight, so I technically didn't win. But like,
why do you think you should have won those fights?
There's really only 2 decisions that I thought I lost out of all the decisions that I've lost. And the 2 that I thought I lost, they're fights that could have gone either way. The ones that I thought I won, the guys were backing up a lot of the time. They didn't hit me much at all. I got takedowns and stuff like that, and like, I just felt like I won the fight. I did more aggression, more cage control, more pressure, no damage on my face. So it was like, they didn't even do anything. Like, they just ran and back up the whole time.
Did they, like, score you down or something because you start as I guess you start as a grounded opponent. Is that correct?
Yeah, my knees are down.
Okay, so they
I'm out on my knees.
Yeah, so that I guess takes away. I mean, that immediately puts you, quote unquote, on your back or down. I mean, I don't know.
I think maybe they are looking at it that way. Maybe the judges were like, okay, well, this guy's Matt's not taking him down and controlling him on his back and beating him up and grounding and pounding him. So he's losing. Like, maybe that's what's going through some of the judges' eyes. Because they know my fighting style, like, I like to take them down and,
right.
Make it a grinder on the ground, But, like, I'm comfortable. That was, like, my early days. And right now, like, I do a whole boxing session from my knees. And, like, that's part of my regimen. Like, my training partners all do the boxing class on their feet. I'll take my leg off and do a whole boxing session, on my knees. So, like, and I'm not allowed to use my takedowns in that class. I'm not allowed to use my jiu-jitsu. So, like, that class is adapted me to be comfortable just standing there fighting on my knees, just like a normal fighter would, you know what I mean? Just a little different. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I need to stop doing it. I guess I just need to do a little more. So, like, but I've already done that and made these adjustments. These are old fights that I've already learned from, and, like, it's just their, like, tactical way of trying to, inch out a win because they realize they can't finish me, or it's very hard to finish me. I'm not saying I'm impossible to finish, but like I'm pretty hard to finish. And so they're in a dog fight, and they realize, okay, I got to stay away from this dog because I get a hold of him and we're scrapping. So I got to keep backing up and do these little stupid jabs that aren't, doing anything, or foot kicks that don't really land, or get them taken down, or push up against the cage, and just like. So I just have to take, every fighter's different, and I'm at the level where I'm not going to get easy fights. So the guys are all going to come in with a legit game plan to how they think they should fight an unorthodox fighter like me. And so every time I fight a new skilled fighter, they got some other new tactic, or they watched another fighter do something that worked, so they're trying that, but put their own little twist on it and modification, so it's a little different. And then so I got to come back to after that fight, back into camp and watch that film and be like, okay, this is what he did this time.
Right.
My next opponent's going to watch this and try to figure out these ways, so I got to close that hole and do this and have an answer for the next opponent. It's just like, that's why it's always fun for me. It's always something new.
Why do you think, did they not want to license you because of like a safety thing, or you like they feel like you're going to get hurt? What was the reasoning for them not licensing you?
Well, originally with when I wanted to go amateur, it took me from 2002 all the way to the beginning of 2009 for them to actually try to get me licensed as an amateur.
Uh-huh.
And so I did my amateur run, and then they really tried sticking it to me, because they said, I got them to get me an amateur card by just saying, look, I just want to try this out. I'm not trying to be a professional at it. I'm not trying to go anywhere with it. I just want to try to say I did it to my, So they're like, okay, we'll let you fight amateur.
Gotcha.
Then a good amateur run that they didn't think I was going to have, and I'm like, okay, now I want to go pro. That's when it really like they hit the brakes on me. I'm like, that's when I had to actually get an attorney and threaten a lawsuit, because they were basically refusing to let me go pro. And like I was 4-1, and I'm like, you can't say no. So I had to put like a list together of people with 2 legs that had crappier amateur records and still went pro. You allowed these guys to go pro, but I'm different, right? So I basically had to prove that they were treating me unfairly, and they had to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that me fighting with 1 leg was unsafe. And with 5 amateur fights and not 1 injury, they couldn't really prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. So the ADA Act Title II in our Constitution allowed me to finally get my professional license, and I had to get an attorney to actually figure that out.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, so it seems like, do you feel like you kind of maybe, is there any people that reach out that are amputees or anything like that, reach out, want to train with you or anything like that? I mean, you feel like they're mimicking your style or learning from you, or?
Hopefully. I mean, I get, a lot of people get a hold of me through Facebook sometimes, and I've had a few people come to my gym and train with me that are amputees, and that's pretty cool. I don't know, I would like to work with some of the veterans down the road. I used to work with the National Guard, and I did some stuff with the Wounded Warriors in Arizona, but ever since I moved, I kind of lost that connection. And, I've been working with these this other organization, not as much as I would like to, because I'm a busy man, and they're called Ranger Road.
Yeah.
And they're a veteran support organization, so definitely. I mean, it's a huge win for me when people show that I'm not doing this for nothing. You know what I mean?
Is that something maybe down the line, like when you're done fighting, maybe something you want to pursue, or I don't know, maybe work with veterans, something like that? Is that something that's ever interests you think?
Yeah, it interests me now. I have time to do that now. We just have to be in the right timing and, in between fight camps or, local scene type thing. So, I figure I owe it to the people that fought for our country and gave me my freedom and, continue to fight wars that I'm not fighting. So, it's without a doubt, that'd be a huge win for me and, a blessing to be able to do.
Yeah, you're doing an awesome thing, man. I mean, it's like, I think kind of an advantage, I guess, in a way is you got to, grow up with not having a leg or having, being an amputee from a young age. So your body's kind of adapted so well as opposed to like some of these people that are in their, 20s or 30s or whatever and just starting, to live life kind of, because your movement patterns, from a physical therapy standpoint, your movement, your brain has like pretty much like accepted, this is the way that I got to move around and this is the way my body works, and these people have to like almost like retrain, their bodies, so to speak.
I can't even imagine, and that's coming from an amputee, if I lost my leg now opposed to when I did, I, definitely, it would be like a curveball in life, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, it's not even the same thing, it's like, I can't even put myself in, I'm try to put myself in their shoes, but, I can't because I never was in those shoes. This is, like you said, this is normal to me.
Right.
I see baby pictures of me with 2 legs, and I'm like, ooh, I subliminally just who's that kid,
Right.
Cause that's not me.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, man.
This is me.
What as far as let me ask one more question about your amputation. Do you have as far as your prosthesis? Is it do you have an actual knee, or is it an above the knee? You have a leg that? Yeah, I see it.
It's got a hydraulic knee on it.
Right. Okay.
It mainly just goes on weight and
that one does. So it's a manual kind of.
Yeah, it's got a dial on it, and my prosthetist adjusts it every once in a while.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's got to be with weight and age, really, and activity levels.
Oh wow. Yeah, because some of those sea legs are actually they hook them up to assess their gait pattern.
Processor, bro. They have a micro. They have a micro.
Yeah, microprocessor. They have a freaking brain in the leg, pretty much.
They have to plug them in their walls and charge them with their phones.
Yeah.
Every day.
You charge them, they hook you up to a computer and watch you walk and figure out how to. I'm sure you walk better with that thing than a lot of people with those sea legs.
I walk pretty good. I've never needed anything else. And the thing is with the legs, it's like this. They're kind of like a car business. They're designed to break down after a certain number of years.
Sure.
They don't want leg lasting forever because then you're not buying more legs, right? But they're not going to make it. They're not going to design a leg that lasts forever. And the more technology and components the actual artificial leg has, the more often it's going to break and the more problems you're going to have.
Absolutely.
With it. So for me, in my situation, my activity level, that they've come to the conclusion that the less components that I'm walking on, the less I'm going to be getting it fixed.
No, it makes sense.
My leg really is not anything special. It's a foot, an ankle, a knee, and then the socket, which my real leg.
As far as the socket goes, man, do you when you lose weight or gain weight? Is that something you got to deal with a lot with that fitting properly?
Actually, it's funny you should say that. When I'm in the middle of a fight camp, I can kind of guess my weight is.
That's awesome.
By the leg socks I gotta wear. Because when I'm all fat and not really fat, but this is the term I use, right? So I'm all in between training, in between fights, I'll fatten up a little bit, and my leg will fit me normal. So because I got my leg casted when I was fat and not fighting, right?
Right.
So I gotta do that. And then so as I get closer to 135, I gotta wear 3 socks. I start dropping the week of the fight when I take all the sodium out and start water loading and all that stuff. And I go to 130, then I'm wearing 4 or 5 socks.
Yeah, things falling off.
Yeah, I don't even need a scale. I just once I start wearing I'm I got 2 socks on. I'm almost to 135, and sure enough, I'll get on the scale. I'll be 138.
That's crazy.
139. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's your own weight. It's your own scale, dude.
It is. It's pretty cool.
Matt, tell me a little bit about like your move to Team Alpha Male. What made you decide? 'Cause you said you're originally from Arizona. Is that you? Did you move specifically to train there, or is there a reason you moved there?
Yeah, there's definitely a few reasons I moved there. First reason is Uriah Faber and Joseph Benavidez at the WEC when I was just fighting like in the beginning of my career. And I always watched them develop the flyweights in the lower weight classes because of those two guys. And they're in Sacramento, so I always liked their fighting style, their innovation, especially Uriah's innovation, the way he would learn stuff in the middle of a fight, just do things that you can't teach. You just gotta learn it. You gotta learn it as far as the fight goes. Yeah. And so, and then I would also at this time I trained at Fight Ready with Henry Cejudo and I would spar with him, and I didn't really do bad. I was kind of getting the better of him, and so they stopped kind of letting me train with him. And so, I always wanted to train with guys in my own weight class that were, elite athletes. And so when he stopped kind of training with me and the coach stopped trying to work with me because their new golden boy came in, I was like, all right. So I pieced out of there and I went to Southwest MMA. And that school closed down about a year later. And I was left with two options, either, as far as elite gyms go in Arizona, for my opinion, who I wanted to train with, and it was the lab, and I didn't want to train with the lab because they had a guy that I don't really like, and I wanted to fight John Moraga over there, and not really trying to bring the vibes over there, and I just wanted a good vibe gym, and so I went, then also I could have gone to Power MMA, but at that time they only had heavyweights and stuff,
big guys.
And so my brother's like, why don't you go to Team Alpha Male? My brother brought it up. And I'm like, So I went out there and trained for 3 weeks in 2012. And I came back. I told my brother, yeah, that's where I need to train for sure. And so that whole year I saved money and made the plans in 2013 and actually made it physically happen in 2013. And I moved out there. And that's where I've been ever since.
Who do you feel like you've learned from out there, as far as who are your main training partners, your main coaches?
I learn from everybody that I work with, whether they're big or small name coaches. I learn different things for styles that I try to take what the specialty of each coach is and take off that. And the same thing with my training partners. I try to take what they do. If I go on the mat with a guy that's a better wrestler than me, some coaches would try to say avoid the wrestling, but I'm going right in on his wrestling. I'm going to try to out wrestle him and beat him at his own game. And I take that same thing with the coaches. Justin Buckles, we got Chris Holdsworth over there, Dustin Akbari, Joe Rodriguez. The list goes on. Danny Castile. Alex Munoz, Lance Palmer. We got
it's crazy. I know, man.
There's not one coach teaching us wrestling. We got 3 or 4 wrestling coaches, and they switch them out whoever's free this time. And for the most part, Alex Munoz is now running it. Before that, Lance Palmer was running it. He's doing his thing. So then we got Danny Castile filling in when Alex Munoz can't fill in there. We got David Klinchheim, who you guys will hear about him here pretty soon. He's one of our upcomers about to go pro. He's a flyweight. He's one of my main wrestling partners. I got guys that, I train with a lot of guys you don't hear of. Everybody's doing their own little thing. They got their own fights getting ready for their own, and it also depends on who I'm fighting. So if I'm fighting a tall guy, I'm trying to get taller training partners, and we all just kind of rotate, That helps scratch your back, you scratch mine.
Sure.
If you have good wrestling, but your jiu-jitsu's lacking, let's work jiu-jitsu, and you work with me on my wrestling type, what an MMA family or community is supposed to do for each other,
Right, yeah. I mean, it's just insane, the names, man. You're just rattling off these names. Just having 1 or 2 of those guys at the gym is just that'd be a high-level gym right there. You got so many guys, and everybody's the same like similar weight class.
We got Clay Guida over there too now.
Dude, he's nuts. By the way, his fight, man. Dude, he's crazy. I've always loved watching him fight. His energy is just like, dude, you talk about like being.
In between rounds, bro.
Do what?
I didn't mean to cut you off, dude, but he's clapping in between rounds.
He's crazy, man. Like his energy, like when you're talking about like being like an animal out there, like that's who I think of, like Clay Guida, 100%. He just goes 100 miles an hour, like the whole freaking time. Like he'll fight I don't know if he's fought 3 or 5 round fights, man. He's running circles afterwards if it goes to a decision. He's running around. Like he's nuts.
I don't know what he's eating, bro. In my refrigerator right now, man. You're exactly right on it, man. That's how he is in the gym, dude.
How is that? How does he do? Like, do you think it's just like his personality? Like, how the hell does he have that much energy?
He must do something. He just eats right and just lives a good lifestyle, bro.
Has a lot of fun, I'm sure.
He likes outdoors. You know, he eats a lot of fish. I know he's always fishing. Cool. Like he's so like a guy that like will go on. Like when I first met Clay, he would drive from like gym to gym. He never really had a home gym. He would just travel gym to gym. Now he's got Team Alpha Male as a home, so that's cool. He's like a gypsy fighter, bro. The only way I can describe it.
He's been around the game. He's been around the game forever too. It's just. It seems like he's got a shit ton of experience, as well. Like he's getting up there. He's in his 30s, I think. He's got a ton of experience.
That's the prime now. That's the new prime. I hate to say it, you guys, but the 35. If you look at the histories of UFC champions, most of them have been in their 30s. Like if you look at the age groups of the majority of UFC champions, 30 all the way to like 39. Is the average UFC belt holder. Okay, and like another thing about Clay, I'll add is the guy's fought any and everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
He's fought so many. If you look at his resumes, as far as like Sherdog record and stuff, he's beat so many former champions. I'm not like for sure about this, but it's fair to say he's arguably beaten more champions than anybody. But he's never been a champion. He's never had that belt. Like not to say he's not a champion. He's never had the belt. The dude's a champion for sure. But he's beaten more. Like look at his shirt off. He's beat guys that a lot of guys that have held belts.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at Anthony Pettis, man. He freaking he put him on his back. And Anthony's got a tough, he's got a pretty solid submission game. I mean, he was in there and he ground and pounded him for. 3 rounds straight or 5, how many rounds it was, man. It was super impressive. When Anthony Pettis has beat people like Gilbert Melendez and knocked people out, and finished them on the feet, and Clay is able to stay in there, and it's pretty impressive to me, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's that whole Evan Tanner, Randy Couture style, just like grinding on someone, wearing them down with your weight, making them carry your weight. Like, okay, if you're on top and you can get someone to carry your weight for 3 rounds or 5 rounds,
for sure.
You get them tired, you get them working, you get them frustrated, worried in there, and second guessing their skills. Every time they do anything, you take them down, you're in their face, you're grinding, and no room to breathe, pressure the whole from start to finish. You break guys mentally and physically, and they don't know what to do with it.
How many people you think know who Evan Tanner is still?
Every friggin' MMA fan.
Well, all the old school people.
Calls himself an MMA fan needs to know who that guy is, but I don't know.
He taught himself on DVD. Did you hear about this shit? He learned how to freaking fight on DVDs. Like he watched DVDs and taught himself how to fight. That's how he started training.
No, I didn't.
Dude, I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure, because they were talking about him, before he fought, Rich Franklin, because he was middleweight champion. Before he fought Rich Franklin, they were like, yeah, this guy, he used to teach himself, I guess he taught himself how to fight. It's crazy. I was like, how the hell do you do that? I mean, kind of similar to what you did, honestly. You kind of watched UFC and watched, studied film, and before I before I did jiu-jitsu, before I did my first class, I kind of had an idea on like what a triangle choke was or an armbar. I probably couldn't do it or do it properly, but I know like I've seen it enough times. You know what I mean? You see enough times, you kind of know what it is. I mean, you see people in the gym kind of like doing crazy arm bars from like they don't even have position at all, and they're doing all this crazy shit.
They do a top arm bar from bow mount.
Yeah, dude, come on, this shit works. So, hey, man, I was curious. So, as far as when you're doing stand up, like, what's your target area? Like, what are you trying to hit? Like, I mean, if you got a tall guy or do what?
The balls.
That's illegal, I think.
Yeah, but I get 2 per fight. It's illegal, but you get 2 per fight. So like I really try to hone it down. Just fucking.
That's. I mean, you mean
jug.
they have 2 balls, or you get to punch them twice?
Right in the jug, baby.
Dude,
right in the jug.
I wouldn't want to fight you either if that's how you fought, dude. That would suck ass.
No,
I know.
I'm trying to blast their head off their shoulders.
Really? Do you feel like it's? I mean, are you able to like really from the knees, like as far as like? I mean, are they bent over when they're fighting you?
6'3" in the face from my knees because it's a trick. There's a trick to it. I get them to come in on me and like I coil up and then bam, hit them with that overhand or my hook. Yeah, I'm trying to knock their head off with this one or with this one, whichever one like you know. So it's a give and take. They have to be able to hit me. They have to be able to allow me to hit them.
Right, for sure. Yeah, they have to kind of bend down a little bit.
Yeah, and the unorthodoxly got to punch down, which they're not used to. Like, even if they go through a whole full training camp, it's still going to be awkward, and they're going to get tired.
Right.
Tired trying to throw down and they're even going to get frustrated when they throw down, and then I'm not there, and then I clock them when they can't hit me, but I can hit them. Like,
yeah, it's a great point. Like, people don't fight like that, like bent over like that. It's not very efficient, you know, for a guy that's, you know, just standing. It's not efficient to stand that way. It'll drain your energy. So
my thing, it's just like it's the same rule as far as old-fashioned boxing. As far as like you're fighting a guy that's taller, that's way taller than you. You be at the end of their punch and you follow their punch back with your own punch.
Gotcha.
Or you laterally move to the side and into the punch, like you go into the punch and away from it just in the nick of time, right?
Yeah.
Like a traditional boxing slip, and you have to make sure your hand's up so like you don't get popped in the face if you miscalculate. I mean, it's just like the basic old-fashioned boxing style that you don't see a lot of MMA nowadays. The way I box, you don't see in MMA nowadays a lot because you got to worry about the head kick. So I'm able to like put that that Mike Tyson dips involved with my style without having to worry about getting head kicked, you know, because it's improper. Like a traditional MMA fighter is not supposed to do that, you know. So I kind of had to take that, I guess. If that answers your question, and I like put myself right in front of them.
Yeah.
So like they like look at me like, oh, I can hit him, and then right when they try to hit me, I'm doing my defenses and trying to counter.
Do your opponents throw a lot of kicks? Like, I mean, body kick. I mean, obviously, because you're a down opponent, they can't go for the head. But like, do you feel like that's a strategy they use against you, maybe to keep distance, or?
They have. Opponents have done that to me in the past, yes. They're very calculated with their kicks. For instance, like, there was this one guy, I don't remember his name, but he was fighting me, and he didn't throw any kicks in the first round, and then he came out in the second round, threw a couple kicks, and landed them, and, like, they don't really affect me. They just score on the judges' scorecard, so I'll just keep pressing forward. You know, the more they kick, the more I press forward. So eventually I took him down, and after I used that leg kick or that body kick that he threw at me to take him down, he didn't throw any more at that fight. Yeah. I've had guys that hold off on the kicks, don't throw any kicks throughout the whole fight, get into the third round and just start friggin' trying to tag me with kicks, and, you know, light me up with the kicks. It's like they can't. I'm good enough to where they can't just carelessly kick me like one would assume by watching my video. You know, I'm good at that. Like, they've been doing that to me for my whole career in practice and in fights. So, Does that answer your question?
Sure, yeah, absolutely, man. What about, I wanted to kind of ask about injuries, man. Any injuries you've dealt with as far as, like, your career training?
Actually, I've been fortunate enough to have broken fingers, and really, I've been injured more in jiu-jitsu class or jiu-jitsu tournaments than I had in any fights. The only one injury that I was affected by, I had a concussion in 2015. Luckily enough, in that time when I had the concussion, I didn't fight at all. I didn't have any fights booked until my concussion was cleared. So I caught it in time where it made me retire. However, that was the scariest and really the only severe injury that I've ever had, and it actually made me spar. Like right now, I don't spar as much now because of that. I don't believe in banging your head up all, before I get to where I need to be.
What kind of things did you deal with as far as a concussion? I mean, were you having just a ton of dizziness?
I got in a car accident. I was emotional, really emotional. I would just break, I was not myself. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow.
I got in a car accident. I mean, there's a whole story behind the whole concussion thing. It was me at my lowest point in my life as well. I was going through a lot of things personally in 2015. As far as I had a divorce go on and stuff like that. I'm not gonna get into all my personal stuff.
That's okay.
But,
yeah.
And so it was a rough year, but I was still trying to keep the thing going as far as what I do, and so I got a concussion, and I had a doctor's note that said I wasn't supposed to drive, and I was driving, and I ran a red light and got in a car accident.
Oh wow!
And then after the car accident, I was wigging out the witnesses at the scene of that car accident, and so the cops came and the paramedics, and they basically didn't know what was wrong with me. They said I was acting weird and not answering the questions. I don't like answering questions from police officers as it is. And at this time, I was out of it. Yeah. So I'm the vibes they got from me, they actually put me in a crazy house, bro, for 5 days.
Oh my god, dude.
And then confirmed I had a concussion. And they let me out. But nevertheless, that's what happened to me as far as my concussion. So when I came out of that hospital, I was everyone's telling me I need to hang up fighting, and I'm no, I don't. I just need to let my concussion clear and get back into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Are you nervous about anything like that? I mean, as far as are you extra careful now? You said the sparring, you've kind of really lessened the sparring. Is there anything else? I mean, as far as your fighting style, do you feel like you've modified that at all so you avoid any punishment or damage?
Oh no, I just kind of I always was emphasizing my head movement and my hands up and being in position to where they can't hit me and knowing range and mastering distance and stuff like that as far as my style goes, and opposed and going against an orthodox opponent. And it definitely made me take a step back in the sparring. For sure, I went a whole 6 months without sparring. I did, when I came back out of the hospital, it was in August. I didn't really get back in the gym for 90 days after that. I had a fight in November. So that fight in November that I didn't do not one sparring session, it was all just grappling and shadow boxing. Mm-hmm. And I had one of the best performances as far as my hands were shining in that fight. And so I took that as okay, I don't need to spar 2 or 3 times a week to have good hands. I just need to do more drills by myself and more bag work and just watching videos, just doing drills and pad work, and so just definitely modified my style and the way I train for sure because of that injury, and it made me think of the longevity part of my life is how do I want to do this forever? Do I want to be that guy that got so banged up that he had to retire early, or now he's a vegetable and nobody respects that guy. So I took, that from that, as well as, you only get one brain.
True.
And then this is the most important thing that you have, and there's life after fighting, and you don't want to ruin yourself during fighting, so you have no life after fighting. It definitely made me, analyze that a lot.
Yeah, Matt, what do you want to accomplish still, man? As far as where do you want to take your career still? What do you still want to accomplish? What's your ultimate goal? I mean, what do you still want to get, out of fighting?
I just want to do it because I love it, and it keeps me in shape. I want to inspire others to be, the champions that we all have in us. Just do what I love doing. I want to just basically fight my whole life. I want to teach people how to fight. I want to just do that right now while I still can.
Yeah. Is there like
kind of day by day? I don't really have any plans for I don't have a 10-year plan or
right.
Just like whenever I feel like I can't fight anymore, I'm going to go into the next chapter of my life, and that's going to be involving fighting somehow. I'm certain of it.
What is there any? Are you trying to set up a fight pretty much as soon as possible right now? Do you feel like you're ready to go? I mean,
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I'm just finishing up. I was winding down my camp last week.
Yeah.
But it happens to me it happened to me again this year. At the beginning of the year, I had supposed to have a fight in March, and I didn't end up fighting the first time in 2017 till June, because I went through the whole training camp. And it happens to at least one of my fights every year, where I'll do a whole training camp, someone will pull from you last minute, or something. I honestly feel like politics play into. I give you notice. I don't even announce my opponents anymore, because I feel like people were manipulating the growth of my career by talking to my opponent.
I see.
And talking him out of the fight with me. Okay, the dude already said he's gonna fight me. Now he doesn't want to fight me. It's just a little weird how it's always the same pattern.
As far as opponents go, do you ever feel like you pick and choose opponents at all, or you just kind of go with whoever they give you?
I'm definitely not that guy. I take whoever's put in front of me. Very few times in my career have I had more than one opponent to choose from, and in my defense, I always took the toughest guy that my manager or matchmakers have proposed, and that's it. I know one promoter tried to get me to pad my record, and I got away from him as fast as I could.
It's just not you. Just do you ever really care about your record? Do you feel like do you feel like it makes it maybe easier for you to get a fight or harder? Because they can look at your record and may think maybe, but you've fought some tough guys. I saw your kind of your fight history, man. You fought, like you said, a lot of high level fighters. Yeah,
for sure. That's what I want to fight. That's all I really wanted to fight was top level fighters. Yeah. But reality. These top tier guys, we'll say top tier guys, don't want to fight me. So.
For sure.
I'm very lucky with the very few top level fighters that have actually fought me.
Yeah.
But the list of top level fighters are like this that will fight me.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? The margin is way different as far as numbers go. So I know I've had a lot of fights, and I just think of it like this: if all these guys weren't ducking me, how many fights I would I be in the UFC? And in a way, they're controlling my destiny, and I almost feel like it's being done on purpose. I do not pick my opponents, and never will I. I want to fight the toughest guys they have.
Yeah, I think the bottom line is, you don't really pick your fights. You kind of take what's given to you, and and sometimes, in your defense, honestly, man, you get an opponent switched on you last second or last, in a day or 2 days. You've had a whole training camp towards, or I guess for you, maybe you haven't had a training camp towards an opponent.
Yeah, no, it's happened a dozen times, and I learned my lesson the hard way.
Yeah.
So now, like, when I'm training for camps and training with guys, I don't train for one particular guy. I'm training everything that could possibly happen with any kind of one. I'm training already. Training, like, if the guy's going to kick me, I'm training if the guy's going to box me or whatever.
Do you feel like there's anything that's worked for you as far as to get more fights? Like, is there some kind of strategy you've used? I mean, talking, or trying to get under their skin, or?
I try to put myself in everybody's shoes, and say from my heart what I feel, and a lot of people don't like it, and I'm vocal. There was a time in my career when I was quiet about all the things that goes on behind the scenes that, just wondering like, oh yeah, whatever, just let it grow, my time's coming. But then when it like continues to happen, and then you look down the room like, damn, I only got like, 5 years left in this fight game if my body holds out for that long. And you start realizing where your career is, and you're like, okay, well these guys are holding back, and then it starts to becoming like, okay, well now you're affecting my livelihood because you guys aren't fighting me.
Sure.
You guys are taking money from my family because you guys aren't fighting me. You guys are stealing me and the fans. You're stealing me away from the real fans that would love to see a guy like me fight. As for yourself, you said yourself, and like, so I'm not able to get to these big shows because I can't beat these big names. So then I start becoming vocal about it, and the whole humble thing goes out the fucking window at that point. And so like, people can criticize me and say whatever I want. Like, no, I don't talk shit to people for no reason. I talk shit and say what's on my mind.
Yeah.
And they take it as like, oh, well, you're just being, no, I'm just being real, and you guys can't fucking take it. And like, I take it like, I'm a fighter first. I was a fighter before I trained to fight.
Yeah.
I was taught to fucking not take shit from anybody, not let people disrespect you on the streets, in my household, wherever you were at the time. Like, that's how I was taught, that's how I was raised. Okay? That's what I believe a fighter to be. I could be wrong, I could be right, it don't matter. That's all speculation. Fact of the matter is that's how I was raised. So I put myself in those shoes. I say things to them that should piss them off enough to want to fight me. And like, if they're any kind of man or any kind of fighter, like, and we're all supposed to, but we're in a business where we legally can shut people up. Oh, you want to talk this shit about me online? I'll fight you. Matter of fact, I'm going to call a promoter that works with me right now, and we're going to set that up. And that's how I would handle it. And so when I say there's certain things to these certain men, they call themselves, or fighters, whatever, whatever they want to call themselves, they should want to fight me, without a doubt, if they're any kind of freaking fighter. If as far as what I look to be, what I look at as what a fighter is, opposed to someone that just gets in the cage because it was a cool thing to do, and everybody else was doing it and wanted to be popular and get the chicks, like, whatever the reasons. You fake fighters want to fight, you want to look good beating up bums. So, like, I just speak my mind and be like, oh, I think you're a little bitch, you don't want to fight me, or whatever. And I try to be more creative with it when I'm, talking shit to people, but, like, at the end of the day, that's what they act like.
Yeah,
they may not like it, but I'm still going to say it. So they should want to punch me in my face for saying it.
No, I mean, it does make total sense, I think at one point you're trying just to, like you said, you're trying to live, you're trying to get fights, and yeah, I mean,
trying to eat, bro, just like everybody else.
Yeah,
and
no, for sure, man.
Give it to me, shit, I'm gonna take it and do it any way I can.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, that comes to a point where, man, you'll do anything to take care of yourself and your family, and you're already doing something pretty freaking crazy, you're punching people in the face for a living, man. It's insane.
Yeah,
I've always said that, like, that's, like, you gotta have another, like, there's gotta be another switch, man. Your brain's gotta have just another switch that says, I'm going to this place, I'm gonna get in this cage, I'm gonna punch people in the face, or I was like, man, I've done Jiu-Jitsu, and I love Jiu-Jitsu and everything, but, man, I don't know if I have that switch in me, I don't know.
It takes some getting used to get punched. I remember the first time I fought a stud opponent, and I got hit, like, the first time in my career, like, apart from, like, street fights and just sparring sessions, like, you get hit in front of the bright lights, in front of the fans, like, hard, and have your ass ass kicked, handed to you. Like, that's a whole, like, no, I agree. So
just getting rocked, I guess, man. It's the weird.
It took me like 3 years to get used to actually staying in the pocket with people, and I still sometimes have to back up out of it sometimes.
Do you feel like you like over time you kind of your body got used to like taking a punch, like your face got used to like, or your head getting used to getting hit?
You accept it. Okay, I mean, a psychologist told me this one time. He's like, okay, when you're going into a situation where, you could possibly get hurt or something, there's some danger involved, you gotta, to be comfortable out there, you have to accept the worst that can happen.
Yeah.
And once you accept that in your brain, the worst that can happen is to get knocked out cold, dead on the concrete. You could actually die in there. And once you accept it, that is a possibility going in there. There's some psychological way to where it keeps you like, okay, well that's what's gonna happen. You have to do that to beat the fear, or the I don't even want to call it fear, like the nervousness or whatever.
Yeah.
The nervousness you get before a fight, everybody gets it. Like the butterflies, like, ooh, there's like the not knowing feeling, like, oh, I'm gonna go out there, like I train for this, but you never know what's gonna happen.
Right.
So, like, to get over that feeling, the best way possible is to accept the worst possible scenario that could happen in that situation.
I mean, yeah, I've never thought of it that way. I mean, that does make sense, man. Like, I mean, I know how nervous I do just jiu-jitsu tournaments, and I still get nervous.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, although, I mean, yeah, it's a much safer sport than MMA, but man, some bad shit could happen, I mean, some life-changing stuff could happen at those tournaments. The injuries that bad can occur,
You might get tapped by a white belt, bro. Your life is over.
What, I might get tapped out by a white belt? Maybe.
By a white belt, your life is over.
Ah, shit, dude.
It was a joke.
No, I understand. Like, that's actually a phenomenal analogy, like, as far as like MMA, like your MMA career, like an upper level belt, going against a lower level belt that maybe is very athletic, very strong, and that's a hard role sometimes because like lower belts white belts can be unpredictable in their movements, and I mean, it's like, what if you get tapped out? What the hell? Like, what's the advantage? You know what I mean? It's like you tapped out a blue belt or a white belt, and you're like a brown or a black. That's the thing, man. Yeah, it's. I honestly feel like you bring a bigger target to the fight, like, and that can be bad for people. That can be a lot of pressure. Like, if you have a fight, man, like that could garner a lot of attention. Like, because you're not like every other MMA fighter out there. You're different. I mean, just the way you fight's different, your style, all that stuff. It's going to make you crazy, I think.
I think that nervous feeling is part of the instinctual fight or flight thing.
Sure.
That I think it's a good thing, but you definitely have to control it, or it'll show.
For sure. Yeah, you're 100% right, man. Yeah, it can, you get those adrenaline dumps just waiting for your time, at a tournament,
sure.
Man, and you show it and you get out there and you were feeling good 15, 20 minutes ago, but man, now you're just flat and you're wore out from just standing there all day and anticipating the match. I remember that all too well. It's not fun, man, but for some reason we go back there and we do that shit over and over again. Like, what does that say?
It's the challenge. It's got to be the challenge. It's everything. Like the adrenaline.
I played like team sports growing up. I never was into I never even wrestled. I went to like the wrestling. I went kind of to wrestling practice for like a week. And I was like, man, this getting out like late at 6 o'clock, it's for the bird. I'm not doing that shit. I'm going to go play soccer. That's what I did. I was like, I'll just go play soccer. It's easier, It's not like wrestling, man. It was just a freaking grind, especially in high school at that age, dude. That's some shit to deal with. It's a lot of, physical, I mean, it's hard, man. Cutting the weight, too.
Depending on the coach, right?
Shit, yeah, for sure.
That wrestled 20 years ago and wants to loop through everyone.
Dude, that's crazy. Like, I feel like, like kids at that age, man, I think some wrestlers are so tough. They develop that, like, that mentality, man, that just it's crazy to me because to do wrestle, stick with that. I mean, it's a grind every day, and there's usually, you know, everybody that's doing that can stick it through has the same mindset you do. You know, they're mentally tough.
Yeah, and like there used to be very few avenues for after college.
Yeah.
You know, you got if you weren't that 1% of the rest, you didn't really like get your body up push. So that's like another great thing for MMA. Like it gives you more avenues for the wrestling background to actually look forward to as far as elite athletes go. So
yeah,
but yeah, the wrestling grind you can't imitate that.
When I did my a couple first jiu-jitsu tournaments, man, I remember when I against a wrestler, dude, I was like, shit, I couldn't get him off me, you know. A guy with me being not really any grappling background, being a white belt, you know, that's crazy to go against a wrestler. It's a huge mismatch, even with the jiu-jitsu rules, you know. I mean, make it hard. Because wrestlers, man, they already have this control advantage. They have such strong hips. They're able to, you know, you take somebody down, you can hold them with side control. That's pretty dominant.
For sure.
Yeah.
And they also have their flaws too.
Sure.
Stick their head in holes they're not supposed to and get choked or armbar triangle. Yeah.
I saw actually, man. When we took a little bit of a break, I kind of watched a few your grappling matches, man. Do you play kind of a lot of rubber guard with your right leg? Is that something, or just weave it in for omoplata?
I do the rubber guard. It's the only closed guard that I have available, and it's an active guard even for people with two legs. So, I basically have, we'll say, 3 or 4 guards. I got X guard, which I don't really use in MMA because you get elbowed and punched in the face. It's you lose the fight. So I don't even use that unless I'm attacking a leg lock right away and then I'm letting go.
Yeah.
You know, if the leg lock's not there, I'm letting go. So I got that guard. I have a deep half.
Okay.
Which I don't play much for MMA anyways because if they get half guard, I usually try to let them pass and get to my knees on a scramble and get a takedown, get on top. I got the closed guard. Was not really ever closed. It's an open guard. So, the way I had to use the guard is I have to have an active open guard. So, every time I'm in the guard, I need to be throwing up submissions and attacking legitimately and making dangerous, attempts for submissions. And then I have the rubber guard. And the rubber guard is, you very rarely see me off my back because I'm not going to sit there and lay and let someone punch me and ground out a decision on the top of me, you know? So, the rubber guard is definitely the only closed guard I had. So, yeah, you see it more in my jiu-jitsu matches.
Right. That's what I was watching, some of your jiu-jitsu matches. But for me, man, I was just kind of watching, and I play, a bottom half or even, it's just, man, it'd be weird with that leg. Not having, because you can kind of slip out. As far as, even getting past, say if I'm on bottom and you're in half and you're starting to pass or something like that, that leg a lot of times is what I keep, you got to grab on that leg to kind of keep somebody from passing. So, and you not having that, man, that changes it up so much as far as, the games people can play too.
Oh, for sure. I get away with a lot of things and I also can't do things or have trouble doing things.
Yeah.
There's things I can't do flat out. I'm I'm not even going to try that. But, for sure, then, there's things that I had to adapt. And, my balance is weird. I mean, there's lots of things that are different as far as my style goes on the ground when we're just talking about the jiu-jitsu game for sure, as well as the MMA.
Yeah.
Awkward to fight me, and it was also, awkward for me to learn. And also, there's things that I do that I don't even realize I know. I realize that's an advantage until one of my training partners
oh, gotcha.
Something out oh, your balance is this, or I have trouble doing this because you're. And I think about yeah, I can see that. Right on. And
that's awesome. Is there any type of tournaments you like to compete in, or anything you prefer? Do you do any gi stuff at all?
I can't stand the gi, man. I did the gi for my first, say, 7 to 8 years of training before I allowed to fight MMA.
Yeah.
I don't like the whole, being able to grab clothes and stuff like that. I train the gi, and when I train it, I try not to grab it because I don't want to create bad habits for my MMA and my no-gi style. I like no-gi for sure. I love no-gi. I love competing no-gi. If I do the gi, it'll be after my fighting, when I start slowing down and want to get my belt system going.
Dude, I love the gi, man. The gi's awesome.
I
love no-gi too, man. No-gi's great, but dude, the stuff you're like, yeah, dude, I hate the lapel. I'm like, I freaking love the lapel. I love the cross collar stuff. But yeah, for me not being an MMA fighter, man, I feel like I always get in this conversation with people. I feel like, and obviously for MMA, no-gi is more geared towards that. It's more applicable because obviously you don't have clothes and stuff to grab, in the cage. But I don't know, man. I just love the gi. I love the, and I think maybe if you get older, as you get older, you can kind of slow down the pace a little bit too.
Yeah, for sure.
You're not as, because the gi's, I love the gi, man. But the no gi, I think one is not complete without the other. I think they both fit in. Just to in different ways. I think they build your game, and I don't know. Yeah, I guess I agree with you though.
Not really part of the regiment, for sure. Definitely, it teaches a lot of the posture.
Yeah.
It teaches a lot of it's a little more resistance. I know when I grapple with the gi on, it makes my posture feel stronger. So, it's got its advantages. Just, I think it definitely has, it's applicable in a street fight with someone's wearing a coat
for sure.
With their clothes. You learn to throw them around. For sure. I've done it a lot, and whatever. I've went into tournaments where I did both.
Yeah.
And, I would smash the guy, no-gi, no problem. And then I actually ended up, there was one tournament in particular where I went through and I smashed this dude in 40 seconds, rear naked choked him. I'm like, I won, right? And then in the gi, I got up against the same guy because we're in the same weight class. Yeah. And it ended up being 6-0. The dude did some sweep with some clothes and passed my guard it wouldn't have happened. So,
not well, yeah.
It's not, I'm not good at it, for one. I'm good at the defending, but I've never really got comfortable with trying, the close choke. I can do,
the chokes and stuff.
Yeah, I'm a purple belt, almost a brown belt. So I know the gi.
Sure.
I can teach it. It's just not my favorite thing,
No, yeah, man, and I agree. I hear both. As far as MMA fighters, you definitely hear it. They prefer the no-gi. It's just more. It's more streamlined to training and what the fight's going to be like. So
yeah,
I definitely
not
agree.
There. You don't want to get a false security. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Holding on to that, and then you get in a fight, and you go to grab something and get elbowed in the face because something.
Yeah.
I'm oh crap.
That's not there. I don't remember. Yeah, no, I agree with you, man. I think it's just
that muscle memory,
Yeah. I think they both got a place, man.
For sure.
So, what do you think? So, what are your plans for the future? Kind of wrapping up, man. What do you want to? Are you looking to fight pretty soon again? If you can, as soon as possible. What do you kind of want to do since this fight kind of fell through and you got a little time?
Yeah, if the promotion called and said we got a fighter for you, I'd be fighting this Saturday. Obviously, that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
Positive. I'm trying to look at the situation. In my experience, it's hard to find an opponent to fill in the week of. So, I would like to fight December. That's probably not looking good right now. The soonest I'll be fighting is January. In the meantime, I'm doing no-gi IBJJF Worlds in December. So that's cool.
That's awesome, man.
And go right out of this camp into just straight raw grappling, wrestling, where I started. At the same time, I'll be preparing for a fight in January on the side while I'm preparing for this grappling tournament. And there's no opponent yet, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to get an opponent for January. Will be the next time I fight.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've got an IBJJF. We got the Cincinnati Open, which is like an hour from our house, from where I live.
When's that?
What's that?
When's that?
That's December 10th or 10th, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's probably after. When's your tournament?
I think my coach said it was December 18th.
Yeah. So yeah, you got a little ways. I think it's because we got Cincinnati December 10th, so I've been kind of prepping for that. That's just gi though, baby.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
Is it IBJJF though?
Yeah. Okay. I've done a few of those, man. My first one, I tell people all the time, my first IBJJF tournament was the Master Worlds. I was like, that's probably a little bit of a jump. It didn't turn out the best for me, but man, this is.
You did? Oh, you didn't do good?
No. Actually, the guy I went against, we had 57 in my division. The guy I went against ended up getting third. And I was watching video on him, and he was a judo black belt, and jiu-jitsu purple belt. And I was like, I figured he was going to toss me, and he pulled guard. And I was like, what the hell? So it's just, man, it was a great tournament, though, dude. It was just seeing all these high-level jiu-jitsu, people just walking around, celebrities, coaches. It was just cool. It was cool.
Yeah, I haven't done an IBJJF tournament in a long time.
Yeah.
And I was like talking to my coach. I'm like, after my fight, I don't get injured. I'm probably gonna go out there with you guys, and my fight didn't happen, so now I'm for sure.
Is it in California?
Yeah, it's in Los Angeles.
Okay. How far are you from there?
It's like that's a 6-hour drive.
Oh man, that's still a little drive. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good, man. Well, best of luck with that, dude. I'd love to maybe get you back on sometime, and man, after you got a fight or before you got a fight, just to break it down and kind of talk to you and see where you're at.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, I appreciate you taking the time, man. It's an honor for me to kind of meet people and talk to people that love jiu-jitsu and love grappling and MMA and stuff. And dude, best of luck. I think it's awesome. It's awesome, dude. I'll be definitely. Looking forward to watching you fight, man. I think it'd be pretty cool. Pretty cool to see, man.
Yeah, no, I'll keep you posted, and thank you for having me.
Dude,
it was a privilege.
It's my pleasure, man. It's an honor. Thank you. Thank you to my guest, Matt Betzold, for joining me on the podcast. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure to check out more podcasts on iTunes, as well as now available on YouTube. Check out videos on injury prevention rehab for Jiu-Jitsu on YouTube, and as well as the Jiu-Jitsu Therapist website. And make sure to pick up a shirt at jiu-jitsutherapist.com. Thank you guys again for listening to the podcast, and we will see you next time.